The story starts on a quiet, empty street at night. A black man is walking alone when he notices a creepy white car slowly following him. Just as he turns to change his route, a masked man jumps out, knocks him out, and drags him into the trunk. This isn't just a kidnapping, it is the beginning of a terrifying nightmare.
You heard Verse. This isn't a romance movie, guys. This is an auction.
We then meet our main character, Chris, and his girlfriend, Rose. They're packing for a weekend trip to meet her wealthy parents. Chris is understandably nervous. He knows her family and their town aren't exactly known for welcoming black people. To calm his nerves, he calls his best friend, Rod, and shares his fear that they might make him turn back. Rod laughs, but flat out warns him that this girl might be leading him into a trap.
Hold up, Verse. Stop right there. Rod literally told him it's a trap, and Chris still packed his bags? If your best friend says it's a trap, you don't go, bro.
On the drive there, a deer jumps in front of their car and they hit it. Chris, being a good guy, takes responsibility and calls the police. But when the cop arrives, he unfairly demands Chris's ID, even though Rose was driving. Rose aggressively defends Chris and argues with the cop. This makes Chris feel incredibly proud and safe with her.
Okay, she fought the police for him. That is some top-tier acting right there. I mean, top-tier love.
When they finally arrive at the massive estate, the family's reaction is the exact opposite of what Chris expected. They welcome him warmly. Her dad, Dean, even explains that he kept the black servants, Walter and Georgina, to make them part of the family after his own parents died. This actually makes Chris respect them. But things get weird during a conversation on the lawn. Dean asks about Chris's family. When Chris reveals his mom died and he is completely isolated from his dad, Dean gets this bizarre happy expression on his face, like his ultimate goal was just fulfilled.
A creepy smile when he hears you have no family? Yeah, Chris isn't a guest, guys. He's a stray dog they just adopted for a science experiment.
Dean then casually mentions his wife is a mentalist who can use hypnosis to cure Chris's smoking habit, which Chris politely declines. But the weird vibes don't stop. At dinner, Rose's brother Jeremy acts psycho and tries to aggressively grapple with Chris. That night, Chris can't sleep. He goes outside for a smoke and sees Walter, the gardener, sprinting directly at him at full speed in the pitch dark, only to run right past him. He looks up and sees Georgina, the maid, staring at him dead-eyed from a window.
Nope. I'm calling a cab. If the gardener is doing midnight Olympic sprints towards me, I am out of there.
Freaked out, Chris goes inside and bumps into Rose's mom. She starts stirring a silver spoon in her teacup, forcing him to talk about his mother's death. He feels awkward and doesn't want to answer, but the rhythmic clinking takes over his brain. He starts crying uncontrollably. His body paralyzes. Suddenly, he is falling backward into a dark, endless void called the Sunken Place. He can see and hear the real world, but he cannot move or speak. She hijacked his mind with a single cup of tea.
A teacup and a spoon? That is the most dangerous weapon I have ever seen. I am never drinking tea at my in-laws' house again.
The next morning, Chris wakes up in his bed, relieved, thinking the terrifying paralysis was just a bad nightmare. He grabs his camera and goes outside for a walk, bumping into Walter, the gardener. Chris tries to be friendly, but he notices something deeply unsettling. Walter looks young, but he speaks and acts exactly like an old man. The horror sets in when Walter casually asks, "How was your session last night?" confirming the hypnosis was completely real.
Hold on. The gardener knows about the secret hypnosis? Bro, the whole staff is in on it. This isn't a family, it's a cult.
Freaked out, Chris immediately goes to Rose and tells her he wants to leave. But just as they are talking, dozens of luxury cars start pulling up to the estate. It's the family's annual get-together. The guests are all wealthy, older white people, and they start treating Chris like a prize, weirdly touching his arms and admiring his physical traits. Feeling completely isolated, Chris is relieved when he finally spots another black man across the yard named Logan. But when Chris approaches him, Logan is dressed like a 60-year-old and acts just as robotic as the servants.
A young guy dressed like a grandpa and acting like a robot? Yeah, no. Chris, you were at a convention for psychopaths.
Chris decides to secretly take a picture of Logan to send to his friend Rod for proof, but he forgets to turn off his camera flash. The bright flash goes off right in Logan's eyes. Instantly, Logan's nose starts bleeding. He violently snaps out of his weird trance, lunges at Chris, grabs him by the jacket, and screams, "Get out! Get out of here!"
He literally yelled the title of the movie right in your face. Get out! What more of a warning do you need? A written invitation to leave?
He keeps screaming at Chris to run before collapsing into a seizure. The parents quickly rush Logan inside and lie to everyone, saying he just had a medical episode. But Chris isn't stupid anymore. He finally realizes Rod was right from the very beginning, and he needs to escape this house immediately.
Finally! Pack the bags, forget the toothbrush, steal one of those luxury cars if you have to. Just leave!
Chris tells Rose about Logan's terrifying warning, and to his surprise, Rose agrees to leave with him immediately. She acts completely innocent, claiming she is just as creeped out by her family as he is. While Chris is upstairs packing his bags, something deeply sinister is happening down in the yard. Her father, Dean, is holding a silent auction with the wealthy guests using a game of bingo. But they aren't bidding on antiques. A large portrait of Chris is placed at the front of the lawn. The guests are silently raising their paddles, literally bidding money to buy Chris's physical body. A blind art dealer ultimately wins the auction.
Hold up. The parents are literally running an offline eBay auction for his body in the backyard while he's upstairs packing his socks? That is insane.
Completely unaware that he has just been sold, Chris is in Rose's room looking for his phone charger. He notices a small wooden cabinet door left slightly open. Inside, he finds a hidden box filled with dozens of photographs. As he flips through them, his heart drops. The photos show Rose romantically posing with different black partners over the last several years. But the most horrifying detail? 2 of those past partners are Walter the gardener and Georgina the maid. He even finds a picture of her with Logan. The terrifying truth hits him like a truck. Rose was never his soulmate. She has been honey-trapping black people for her family's twisted experiments for years, and she is entirely in on the trap.
The photos! She is not just a bad girlfriend. She is the lead recruiter for the whole cult. Don't even grab your charger, Chris. Just jump out the window and run.
Terrified by the photos, Chris tries to keep his cool. He calmly tells Rose they need to leave right now, hiding the fact that he knows her horrifying secret. They head downstairs, but the entire family is ominously waiting for them in the hallway. Her brother Jeremy physically blocks the front door with a lacrosse stick. Chris demands the car keys from Rose, who is frantically searching her bag, pretending she can't find them. But then, her panicked expression instantly drops into a cold, dead, psychopathic stare. She dangles the keys and chillingly says, "You know I can't give you the keys, babe."
Verse, pause the story. Can we just take a moment of silence for Chris's heart? That face drop. Give her an Oscar and then throw her straight in jail. I have massive trust issues now.
Before Chris can fight his way out, her mother, Missy, taps the teacup with her silver spoon, instantly paralyzing him and sending him straight back into the sunken place. When Chris finally wakes up, he is strapped tightly to a heavy leather chair in a dark basement rec room. Suddenly, an old vintage television turns on in front of him. An eerie educational video starts playing, finally revealing the family's sickening secret, the coagular procedure. They aren't just hypnotizing people, they are performing literal brain transplants. They surgically place the brains of their old dying white friends into the healthy bodies of young black people. The original owner's mind isn't killed, it is trapped forever in the sunken place as a helpless passenger forced to watch someone else control their life.
Hold the phone. You mean to tell me the grandparents are literally driving those young bodies around like rental cars? That explains why the gardener was doing midnight sprints. This isn't just a cult, it's a terrifying sci-fi nightmare.
The TV then switches to a live video feed of the blind art dealer who won the silent auction. He coldly explains to Chris that he doesn't hate him, he simply wants Chris's artistic eye and healthy body so he can see again. The prep is done, and Chris realizes the twisted brain surgery is about to begin.
I don't hate you, I just want your eyeballs. Excuse me, sir? Stealing my entire existence is the literal definition of personal. You better turn into an action hero right now, Chris.
Down in the basement, Rose's brother Jeremy comes to wheel Chris into the operating room to saw his skull open, but Chris is incredibly smart. While strapped to the chair, he secretly scratched the leather armrest, pulled out the cotton stuffing, and shoved it deep into his ears to block the hypnotic sound of the teacup. The moment Jeremy leans in to unstrap him, Chris brutally knocks him out with a heavy bocce ball.
Yes! Finally, a horror movie character with a working brain. He used the cotton from the chair to block the hypnosis? Give this man a Nobel Prize for survival.
Free from the chair, Chris creeps upstairs and unleashes absolute chaos. He impales the father, Dean, with the sharp antlers of a mounted deer head, the ultimate ironic revenge for hitting the deer earlier. Next, he takes down the evil mother, Missy, dodging her hypnotic teacup completely. He grabs the car keys, rushes out the door, and speeds off, but accidentally runs over Georgina, the maid. Feeling guilty because his own mother died in a hit-and-run, he actually stops and puts Georgina in the car. But she is possessed by Rose's grandmother, who aggressively attacks Chris while he's driving, causing him to crash into a tree. Chris stumbles out of the wrecked car just as Rose walks out of the house with a hunting rifle, calmly shooting at him. Suddenly, Walter, possessed by the grandfather, sprints over and tackles Chris to the ground. In a desperate final move, Chris grabs his phone and uses the camera flash directly into Walter's eyes.
Oh my god, Verse, he stopped for the maid? Chris, bro, she is not the maid, she is the evil grandma. You do not stop the getaway car. My anxiety is through the roof right now.
The flash temporarily wakes up the real Walter trapped inside. Realizing what has been done to him, Walter takes the rifle from Rose, shoots her in the stomach, and then tragically shoots himself to escape the nightmare. As Chris stands over a bleeding Rose, police sirens echo in the distance. A squad car's red and blue lights flash through the trees. Chris raises his hands in defeat, thinking this is the absolute end. The cops will definitely blame the black guy surrounded by wealthy people. But the car door opens, and out steps a man in a TSA uniform. It's his best friend, Rod. Rod looks at the absolute bloodbath, looks at Chris, and simply says, "I told you not to go in that house." Chris gets into the car, and they drive away into the night, leaving Rose to bleed out alone.
Rod for president! I have never been so relieved to see airport security in my entire life. The ultimate best friend award officially goes to Rod. And guys, moral of the story, always, always listen to your best friend.